Welcome back to the
Welcome
She
back.
Manifested It podcast.
Welcome back.
The book we're reading right now is Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. Would you like to start us off and just maybe tell us, has anything been coming up for you or anything jumped out at you or that's really pulling your attention as you're reading this book?
Okay, well, I made some notes.
Oh, okay.
Because there's so much that comes out. There's so many like reminders and things that I'm like, oh, I never thought about that, or oh, I forgot about that. So there's a lot of those things. And I've tried to make some marks in my book, but even when I went back, like if you look at this page, I have like all these markups and I'm like, I don't even know what any of that means. I really am enjoying this book. I'll say that. I'll say that because I haven't read it. It's my first time reading this one. And I really feel like I was in a place where, because it's the astonishing power of feelings, I feel like I was finally ready to go there. And it's really helped me understand. I always knew, right? Like subconsciously, I knew there's more. And I've always felt that way with manifesting. And then I remember you talked about this book and talked about the feelings of it and how like it focuses on the feeling, which The Secret and some of the law of attraction early stuff doesn't like hammer in on.
Yeah. It kind of gives us this false, I felt like it gave those other things kind of gave me this false illusion that I just have to think about it. I just have to see it in my mind and it could just be there and it just shows up in my life. And I feel that that was misleading in some ways.
Yeah, I think it was misleading, and maybe it was because like I believe that like messages are created and you receive them at the right time that you are ready to receive them, and you can only receive to the level that you're ready to receive, right? Does that make sense when I say that?
Yeah. It's like things are going to show up. You know, it's not like this big dump is just going to be, like, no, you're not going to have like $1 billion land in your bank account by doing nothing but just dreaming about it. There has to be more.
There has to be more. And so for me, it was doing a lot of like work that I was already doing, but helping me like refine and sort of go deeper. And that was managing my thoughts, because I know how your thoughts are connected to your feelings, which are connected to your actions. And so it made me stop and realize, okay, well, how is this actually making me feel? And what thought made me feel that? And so what I've been doing is I'm trying to feel in more gratitude and I'm trying to feel in more joy.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've developed lots of practices that help me do that. But it's just been really interesting because this book is helping me get like deeper.
Yeah.
What about you?
What I've been noticing is that as I've been reading, I always go back and I look at, okay, where was I when I read this the first time? And I think about how did it help me before and how is it helping me now still? And then I look at like, the different examples and stuff throughout my life where I've had to do more than just, visualize things. I've had to really, really believe and really, really feel that things were going to get better. So I have like some very, specific examples of how I've been able to make really big changes in my life through feeling. Yeah, that I could share.
Yeah. Do you have something on the top of your mind?
I think I do. When I was first reading the book, I used to struggle a lot with money. I want to say, I don't know how long ago I read it, but I used to struggle a lot with money. I lived paycheck to paycheck. I remember I would get paid on Friday and I'd be broke by Monday. That's how it was. And it was like that for years and years and years. Paid on Friday, broke by Monday after I paid all my bills, bought my groceries. And then I would struggle again for the next 2 weeks until my next money hit. And I remember, reading this book and just taking myself through that feeling. And I would always tell myself, like, it's going to get better. It's not going to be like this forever, because I had the choice to stay in that place and feel sorry for myself and like
Yeah.
think about all the shitty ways that my life is like, you know, I
Right.
don't have this and I don't have that. How is it ever going to change? How am I going to pay this bill? You know, I even remember Christmas time one year sitting in my vehicle outside Canadian Tire and trying not to cry because I was like, how am I going to pay for it? Like I had 8 kids that I will have 8 kids that I'm buying for.
Right.
And then plus I
That's a
have
lot.
2 birthdays in December, like right before Christmas. And I remember just feeling so overwhelmed and thinking like Christmas is supposed to be a happy time.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to do this? And so I remember I the way this book helped me was I had to tell myself, okay, what do I currently have in my life? And what's going to happen if I don't have money to pay a bill? If I couldn't make my rent or if I couldn't make a car payment, what would happen? And then I would picture, okay, then, you know, at the time I drove a Tahoe. Then I guess I would just be driving a minivan, you know, or I would drive a different car. Like it wouldn't have to be this high end vehicle. If I couldn't pay for my house, okay, then, you know, we would live in an apartment or something, but we would be okay because I have my kids, I have my health, you know, we're happy, my kids are happy, they don't know the struggle. In the end, everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. And then all of a sudden, I would just start to feel better because I would think, everything is going to be okay. It's not the end of the world if I don't drive a fancy fucking vehicle, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or if I don't have the biggest house on the block or whatever. So those types of things would help me take myself out of that really, really dark place where I wasn't so focused on the bill or the money or the lack, you know.
Can I
Yeah.
interject for a quick second? Because this is such a good story. And I totally imagine that people are listening and going like, holy shit, that was me. Like I've been there. I have been there. And also like this is a common situation that people are like, well, how the hell do I get out of this? Because growing up in poverty like is such a weight on you because you don't get to things that I have now that I think about, and I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, was like multiple pairs of running shoes when I didn't have shoes to go to school when I was a kid. And the other day I was chopping up onions for a salad, like the long green onions, and they have those like blue rubber bands on them, always the same rubber bands forever. But I remember when I was a little girl, my family didn't even have like hair elastics. Like we would use the ones from the onions. So I'm cutting these.
I remember those.
So
and then they'd rip all your hair out after.
It was so painful. And this is poverty, right? And you're struggling, like even if you can afford those onions for that salad. So like I think it is valid for us to stop and say, like, this is where I, as an Indigenous woman, came from. Like fucking poverty, right? So to go from that to even imagining, sometimes people can just imagine just paying my bills on time. I just want to pay my bills. That's all I want. And I think what you and I have practiced, you know, obviously we've taken lots of steps to get to where we are today. But it sounds like what you were talking about when you were sitting in that car that day is, I wrote down 2 things: acceptance and surrender. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's so hard to feel like, because there's also, you have to have a little bit of gratitude in there, right? Because you talked about your health, like we'd be okay, we'd have a place to live. And that's such an important part, I think, that we don't even give it any space. Like one of the things that I talk about often was when I was struggling, and this was, you know, through confidence and starting my own business and, you know, supporting 3 kids all by myself, was sitting on my bedroom floor with my back against my bed and my head on my knees, crying because I was struggling so bad. But I didn't know that in that crying, and you mentioned sitting crying in the car, that's there's surrender in that. There's a moment where you're like, I can't do this. I'm overwhelmed. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for people who are like, yeah, I know that story so well. What do I do? And I think that's a huge, like, and it's also in the feelings of like, you don't have to do it all. For me, and I wonder if this is the same for you, is like, you have to believe that there's something bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And part of that belief is the feeling. That's where the feeling comes in. Because if you can see it in your mind as a vision, but you don't believe it inside, then it's not going to happen. So that's where the feeling comes in. Because if you can feel it, that I can do that one day, I can have that one day, that strengthens your belief. And then you can really, really be in that space of, this is possible for me.
And what you just said is in the book, because I was scanning through it this morning. If you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. I literally saw those words in here today. So
right?
Good remembering.
Yes, because it's like, it's like, that's what it is that belief. You have to believe that it's possible. Like when I was writing my book, like I told myself, if I ever not believe that I can do it, might as well just throw it away.
Right.
And then, but even when it was really, really hard, when the end seemed so far away, like I had to hang on to that belief. And then that belief is tied to a feeling, and then just like that extra push of closing my eyes and imagining what my book launch would be like, or what it would be like when it's finally done and I'm like typing the last word for the last time.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Yeah. Imagination is so important. So I wanted to give you a chance to go back to that story of you sitting in the car outside a Canadian Tire. So what did you do after you?
Okay, you know what? I did a whole process. Yay! Tell
us about the process.
I decided that I didn't want to be poor anymore. Really. I decided that I didn't want to struggle anymore. And I remember asking myself, okay, what do I want? What do I need? What is it that I want in life? And then I wrote out everything. Like, I don't want to struggle. I asked myself, like, what is my life going to be like? I want to go on trips. I want to be able to shop without having to look at price tags. I want to be able to go to the effing grocery store on any day that I want. And it doesn't have to be payday. Because before, it was only payday that I could go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to just be able, if I needed food, to go buy food. And whenever I wanted. Like the basics.
Yeah.
I wanted the basics. I didn't want to worry, but I also wanted some of the good stuff. I wanted a big house. I wanted everyone to have their own room. I wanted to go on family vacations. I wanted to drive a nice car. Like those types of things. So then I asked myself, okay, these are all the things I want. How much money do I need? So I asked myself, how much do I need? So then I wrote out a whole list, and I did this like on a spreadsheet. I still have my spreadsheet because I update it. Everything that I need to pay a month, like monthly. So like every little thing. And then I added it all up. I was like, okay, this is how much money I need for the month. And then I added extra because I still want the extra. How much money would I need extra
over
to live?
And above.
Yes, to live the life that I want to live. Because this is like, I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming up my life. So I had a number. And I was like, okay, for my dream life, I would have to make, let's say it was like $20,000 a month. And then, so, okay, 20,000 times 12 is about 240,000 a year. Let's add another 10 on there. So $250,000 a year was my big number. So I put it in a big circle in the middle of my paper. And then I drew lines, like a web.
Yeah.
What do I currently have going on that contributes to that 250,000? What are my skills and my abilities and other things that I want to do that could contribute to that 250,000? And then I wrote them all on there. Like my job, my workshops, my books, things that I wanted to do. Like I wanted to do a podcast. I wanted to become a speaker. So I put all those things on there. Mm-hmm. And then I listed off all those things. Okay, well, if I wanted to become a speaker, and I wasn't a speaker at the time, but if I wanted to become a speaker, I would love to charge $3,000 for my speaking services. And I would love to maybe book 6 engagements a year. So I was like, okay, 6 times 3 is 18,000. So $18,000 is going towards my 250. Okay, I want to do workshops. I could charge maybe, I don't know, $5,000 a workshop. And then maybe I can do one workshop a month. Mm-hmm. So 5 times 12. And I would just start adding these things up. And before I knew it, I had come up with, a way to earn $250,000. And then now it was, okay, I have all of these things written down. Now I have to take that inspired action, that we talk about, and start, okay, how am I going to do this? And you can do this with anything, like say if you're a beater, how many things can I make? But I do want to say one thing is, when I was doing this, I was very, very aware of, I'm not just going to write anything just to make money. I was only going to put things that made me happy.
Yeah.
Because say if you're somebody that beads and then you start taking on all these orders, just to earn like more money because you need Christmas is coming or whatever, it takes the joy out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it becomes a burden. So I made sure that I'm only going to do things that I want. So I didn't want to just do workshops because I'm qualified, because I can.
Right. Do any workshop.
Any workshop. I was only going to do what I wanted to do, what made me happy, what made me feel good, so that I could enjoy my life whilst bringing in a larger income. So I did that for myself, and it was very, very strategic.
It's like amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And and over the course of maybe a year or two, or a year and a half, or a year or two doing that, I hit my target of that $250,000 because I very, very strategically, I mapped it out for myself.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
you're very good with those types of tools.
You know what? If you knew me, anybody who knows me as personally as a person, I live the most chaotic life. I look like chaos. My life looks like chaos. My home looks like chaos. Thank God I have help. But really, when it comes down to it, it's organized chaos. I'm very intentional when I do things, and my mind is very, I take the tools from these books and I use them, even though I could be more organized in what I'm doing. But I am very intentional when I'm doing these things.
Yeah, that's so good. And to have a process is so helpful, right? Because I'm sure now it's probably easier for you. It's because you have the processes. And I think that's something that one of the things I do in my journal is I will write down, okay, I'm struggling with this problem. This is how I'm dealing with it, so that way the next time I go through that same problem again, because I can get to a place and my feelings are very much up and down. I'm very much a feeling person. So if I'm excited, I'm so excited. And if I'm upset, I'm so upset. That's very much me. She's probably laughing because she's like, yeah, that's very much you. But the strategy that I've used to help myself through all of the levels of healing that I've done was writing down, this was the problem that I'm dealing with. This is how I dealt with it. Because then there are those times where I'm struggling again and I'm like, what did I do to get out of this last time? And sometimes I'll go back to those notes and that will help me. One of the things that reminded me of something I wanted to talk about in this book, based on just kind of what you were sharing, was never face reality. And I love this one. So it's basically saying, we believe that what we see in the moment and what we're experiencing is the way that it has to be until we find a way to eradicate it or accept it. So we did talk about acceptance and surrender and how like that's such an important part of any process. But this lesson in here is saying just because, and I know you and I have talked about this, but just because like we might hear things like, oh, the economy is bad, that doesn't mean you can't still make money. That doesn't like, that's how I don't face reality.
You're very good at that. You're way, way better at that than I am. I can say that because I'm more of a, like, I let the reality come in and kill some of my manifestations, where you're as like, no, I'm just going to focus on the Delulu part of it.
Yeah.
And then somehow somehow it happens. And I love that. I do.
It does work for me. And I think like one of the things that I lean on, and I use this as leverage, or I call it leverage all the time, is how did I use it last time? What worked for me? And I had a coach one time that I went to her and it was in one of my low days and I'm just like, the world sucks and nothing's working out for me. And she reminded me, she's like, Jessica, nothing has ever made sense in the way that you've made money. She said, the way that you've made money has always been, I wish I could think of the word actually.
Unconventional?
It was basically that. And she said, it's never made sense. Like, think about your business. And I was just like, okay, you're right. But a couple of things that I do to help me with that is you've probably heard this term, is like a mental diet, where I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in years.
I don't either.
But I'm very particular in what I take in. So that means I limit my social media, because if I'm trying to establish a new belief, like, yes, I can make this much money, or I can implement this new program that's just like out of the blue, I need to feed my faith. And that means I'm only looking at stuff like this, or I'm only looking at things that are going to feed that idea. So I'm not on social media. I'm not calling people and having regular everyday conversations, because sometimes those are things that people bring you down. Because, you know, like I have people in my life that I love, but you call them and they're like, hi. Oh, yeah, you know, just surviving. And it's just like, I'm trying too hard. Like I'm fighting my natural tendencies, I think, still, that like have that sort of that low vibe or that poverty mindset, because it's such an, like, it's in my core. And that's what I do every day with this work, is to replenish with a new, like building those new neural pathways, building those new beliefs, strengthening my faith and my feelings, and believing in this shit.
Yeah. So that it no longer feels like we're swimming against the current.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why I think like when I think about my own journey and I, you know, talk to some of my clients and, you know, they'll start saying things like, you know, I don't have any more friends to talk to about stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Unfortunately, that's one of the things people don't tell you about leveling up, is like your circle gets smaller.
Yeah. And it's a journey. You're on a journey on your own, and you try bring your friends with you, and you try bring people with you, and they can't go, you know.
Yeah. They're not receiving the same transformation that you are. And we have to learn to detach with love. A couple of other things that are that were in the book that I made notes on were how difficult it could be sometimes to start your day with gratitude. Because what I have learned is there'll be days where I wake up and it's just sort of like a nonchalant, like I'm not super excited about anything. And I'm just like, how do I get into gratitude today? And I remember another one of my coaches said to me one time, like, you need to stay in that gratitude until you feel it so much that you want to cry. And I was just like, you're a lunatic. Like, what are you talking about? But then I've had those experiences. And so this book has reminded me, and I don't think you necessarily have to cry, but like the feeling of gratitude is actually like super deep. Like my son was in an accident a couple months ago and he's was totally fine. And just receiving the news that he was in an accident from him, um, threw my brain in this just like, what? Like, holy shit, like you don't just have an accident. Like, are you okay? What's going on? I was talking to him. He was clearly okay. So I had to go through this whole like process of what's actually going on and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, when I came back to the gratitude of thank God he is okay. Like that was another one of the things that was like, this is the gratitude that I want to feel for life. Like, thank goodness and, thank God, thank universe that my son like walked away, like unbelievable. But that gratitude, and I think we have these lessons. We have like everything is a lesson to teach us something, right? And yeah, it was just another moment of, that reminder of how deep your gratitude for life can be.
Yeah. And it almost sounds like you want to have those feelings not just when something bad happens.
Yes,
Or not
yes.
just during a tragedy.
Right.
It's just
Right.
like, when you only pray, like I think it was that Jelly Roll song. You only call on God when you need saving. But, it should be all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I practice that, and so that is one of the reasons why when I get excited, I get really excited because I don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, again, going back to like poverty and just all of the struggle that I've been through, it was like, I've experienced that. I don't want to experience that anymore. I want to know what is it like to like really feel good. And so I do try to, like when I receive money, when I receive a payment from a client or something, like I have this clap and I cheer and I'm just like, yes, this is the life that I want to celebrate. I want to feel this. I want to have gratitude. Another quick little story is I like to give big tips. And I love service. Serve me. But also, if I can give someone a really big tip, that's what I want wealth for also. Like I want to appreciate this. I want them to know I appreciate your service and I want to stand out in that way. And that's a fun, elevating exercise that I do.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love like my gratitude. I probably talked about this before, but I'll mention it again because I feel like it should just be mentioned all the time. Like just to have a daily gratitude practice. Like I have a daily gratitude practice. I've had one for 3 or 4 years. Like every single day of my life, I wake up and I do not do anything. I won't touch my phone. I won't get up. I will not get out of bed until I've laid there and run through all of the things I'm grateful in my life. And I just do it in the form of thank you. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my kids. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my parents. Thank you for my husband. Like, and I just, every single day, like I do not miss a day ever. Nice. But it didn't start off that way. Like in the beginning, it was tough.
Yeah.
But now, like it's like deeply, deeply ingrained in me. So when you start your day like that, it's, you're just rewiring everything for yourself.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning. And if shitty things happen, like sometimes shitty things are still going to happen, but you're already wired to think about the good stuff. So it makes it easier to remember that you have good things, that there's still so many good things in your life. And it makes those other things not so hard. Or when shitty fucking people come at you, it's just like so much easier to be like, get out of my space, get out of my bubble. Like I'm in the happy gratitude bubble. Like, get away with that stuff.
Maybe we could talk about for a second, like, I was thinking about this morning is like, I really believe in like you create the energy like within your inner being, within your spirit. And to me, that's another way that I sort of like ignore reality is it doesn't matter what's happening outside around me. And that means what people are saying, what they're doing, what you think others might think. So if you want to do something on your own, like you have to create that You have to feel that faith, feel that feelings, and then you sort of like exert it. And to me, that's the power that helps you like get through something on your own.
Yeah. I have a process. No, I'm just kidding. But I have this little thing I do
Yeah.
when for stuff like that. So, you know, sometimes when I find myself getting bothered by the little things, you know, getting pissed off about like if somebody, you know, is in my space trying to get on my nerves, or if I'm getting too focused on social media or starting to get like out of alignment, and I just want to clear my energy and get out of that low vibration, that ugly state that I'm being sucked into by somebody else or other things. What I do for myself is I have two go-to songs that I do. So the one go-to song is Nessun Dorma by Pavarotti. So I will go for a ride in my car, or else I have earbuds and I'll lock myself in the washroom or somewhere where nobody can access me, and I'll put them on, and then I will blast that song. And then it transports me into my dream life, because it's just like a song that takes me away, and it reminds me that there's a whole big world out there. You don't have to be focusing on all these little people or little things, or, you know, that are trying to pull you down. You know, you can do anything, you can be anything. Like, and that song takes me like
Nice.
like way out there.
I want to know what that song is. So when we're done, you have to.
Okay, yeah, and then I'll link it.
Okay.
So the other song that I play, and this is the song that I play when I want to be grounded, is I play the Mi'kmaq Honor Song by George Paul. So I'll blast that one by myself.
Yeah.
And that song will ground me, and then it'll remind me where it come from, who I'm doing this for, that I don't have to pay attention to the haters and the naysayers, that there's a whole big world out there that needs what I have. And so like it's almost as if I'm like being able to like connect to my ancestors.
Amazing.
And be supported. So those are my two, like, and I revert to those two when I really need it, like, because it's different from, you know, sometimes you have your go-to songs like your 80s or your 90s R&B, but it's a different kind of feel-good song for me.
I love that, because music carries so much energy.
Yeah.
And music can easily help us feel a thing.
And it's that feeling. Like I'm trying to get myself out of that ugly feeling into a better feeling.
Oh, that's so good. So I can't say that I mean, I do have like a money playlist where if I'm calling in money or I'm experiencing money, I will play the playlist and I'll make sure to dance and move my body and stuff like that. But yeah, like I even have this song on my playlist that every time it comes on, it reminds me of the beach in Mexico. So it's, you know, the reason I thought of that was because like music can help connect you. So I love how you use that as that anchor to like pulling you forward, and you don't need all of the noise. You don't need all of the, you know, the little NPCs is what I like to call them, like non-player characters. Like, you know, there's a lot of that, and it's easy for us to practice ignoring reality. That is something that's a part of my life. Yeah. Stick my head in the sand. You know what? When I started this journey, and again, I'm going back to like 2013, I literally remember thinking, I'm just going to keep my head in the clouds. And I had to do that because I was also like, I was, you know, still in a really tight place of struggle. And I didn't know any other way. And if I didn't, you know, put the blinders on, it was too easy for me to see how you can just, you know, stay stuck. Yeah. And I needed a different way.
Yeah. And you had to believe that there is a different way.
Yeah.
You had to believe that it was possible for you.
Yeah. And it's so important to listen to that. If you feel that calling, it's so important to listen to that. We don't need to know the how. We just need to know the vision. So Actually, this is something that came up over the last couple of months, throughout our reading and all the stuff that we're doing, is like my clarity in my intuition when I'm journaling or when I need, divine advice. I'm there. I mean, like, I get it. Like my intuition is so clear. I'm not hesitating. Like it's that for me, and I feel so proud of that because I know that I've had people acknowledge that, like, oh wow, I love how you make your decisions so quickly, and I do because I have so much faith and trust, and I remember the day, and this is where I feel so much gratitude. But I remember a day when, my kid. Well, I probably only had one son at the time, or when they were small. And I remember still wondering, like, what the fuck is faith? I don't understand. And my life has been truly about developing this faith. And, there's definitely times I question it, but it is so strong. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
You know what? Like, I think that's what books do, though, right? Is they bring out like highlights, and they're going to be different for everybody, and they're going to be really amazing points, and hopefully we'll go back, and we still have yet to finish. And yeah, it's good. So we're still in this book. Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting: The Astonishing Power of Feelings. You can find the book on Amazon. You can get the paper book. You can get the audio probably from YouTube because you can do that a lot.
Yeah, you can get anything.
You can get anything from YouTube and Amazon. And this is a really good part of the process and our book collection.
Yeah.
And you recommended this, and I think it's a really great book.
Oh, and you know what? Before we end, I need to squeeze something in here. The other day, I was listening to a motivational video, and then all of a sudden it just cut off, and another one came on, and it was Neville Goddard, and it was "Feeling is the Secret."
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was just like fucking cut in.
Amazing.
And it was "Feeling is the Secret." And it was a really, really old video. But it was talking about how feeling is the secret. Like, we think the secret and law of attraction and, that's the secret. But it's you also have to feel. That's right. It's kind of like the missing link that's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we were able to tie in, the law of attraction followed by this book.
Yeah.
Feeling, to bring it together.
I think so too. Okay, so let's do like top 3 like pieces of advice from each of us, I guess. Like we're making this up as we go. Because I think like after you sharing that, what's coming up for me is like we need to identify what we want. We need to feel it. And like we need to surrender and be okay with it. Like those are all important steps.
Gratitude, because you talked a lot about gratitude. Feeling is believing, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, being able to feel it, not just see it, but feel it is going to help you really believe.
It's going to amplify it.
Yeah.
Okay. Feel it.
Believe it.
Feel it. Believe it. Let us know how it's going. Okay. We want to hear from you.
Awesome. Okay. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Finish off that book.
Okay.